Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the product overview of PeopleSoft Cash Management. My name is Katie Bolt, and I'm the Business Development Associate at Aleer. Just a couple of reminders for today. All attendees are going to be placed on mute. Please submit any questions you have via the chat to the panelists or the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. A recording of the session and a copy of the PDF files will be available via a digital library following the event. With that, I would like to introduce to you the speakers for today, Alvaro Sanson and Dayton Paul. Mr. Alvaro Sanson is a partner of Aleer and heads the PeopleSoft Cash Management and Treasury Practice. With over 25 years of treasury, cash management, and deal management experience, he has led some of the most dynamic and impactful projects in the space. Combined with his senior operational expertise, he has led initiatives focused on best practices, functionality optimization, and treasury road mapping in the wider financial space. Now for Mr. Dayton Paul, he is a senior consultant with Aleer's ERP Treasury Practice. He has helped clients implement effective changes to their treasury departments and has consulted on a variety of topics, including cash management, forecasting, organizational change management, and portfolio maintenance. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Alvaro to start the presentation.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining. We're going to go through the presentation, and here's the agenda. So we'll have the introductions. We're going to go into cash positioning and forecasting. Then we'll talk about the financial gateway, cash management reconciliation, automated accounting, and general ledger integration, then follow it up with a demo. After that, we'll have a question and answer session. Our experience, Aleer's been in the business for over 15 years. We are a trusted advisor to more than 250 plus clients. We help our clients by partnering effectively. And we have many different partners, as you see on the right-hand side, with all the different stickers and so forth. We do more than just treasury, of course. Our commitment is to bring that excellence and quality to our clients. As far as our treasury practices are concerned, we have treasury advisory services, ERP implementation services, of which I'm a part of. We have cloud implementation services, and of course our treasury managed services down at the right-hand corner. We're more than just treasury in that we also have cloud HCM and other different practices, as well as our strategic advisory services practices. This is just some of our clients that we've worked with over the past 15, 20 years. Just to give you an idea of who we're used to working with. Today's demo is going to revolve around the day in the life of a treasurer. This is our treasury business process, where we're going to focus on the cash forecasting and positioning, followed up by payments and then cash sweeps, how the investments and debt and then our hedging and so forth gets recorded, followed up with more of the reconciliation side of the fence, and then the dashboards and connection with the natural integration with PeopleSoft Financials. Dayton, you want to talk a little bit about the cash management and treasury side?
Definitely, yeah. So to give everybody an idea of where cash management sits within the Treasury suite of modules as a whole, cash management really gives us some of the most powerful tools that Treasury has to use on a daily basis. And these are things that are really core to Treasury and business operations. Centered around some of the stuff that we'll talk today, we'll cover some of the cash positioning and forecasting material, as well as accounting and the financial gateway process, which centralizes the entire payments conversation for today. But that's not the only thing that cash management can do. It has a lot of other capabilities that are really important to Treasury as a whole. And these really encompass some of the reconciliation processes, which we'll talk about briefly, but it also covers account analysis, in-house banking, and investment pools as well. As a part of the entire Treasury suite, including deal and risk management, it really gives treasurers and empowers them with the ability to really do a lot of those foundational and essential things on a daily basis. And we definitely hope to cover some of what we both think are the most impactful and the most important today.
If we're to look at it from a global perspective, on the left-hand side within PeopleSoft, we've got the banks that are inputting their bank statements through the banking module, followed with the cash management module and the deal management module. You'll notice that everything seems to center in and around the financial gateway. And that's because it's the central communication hub to PeopleSoft. It's secure and within the system itself. So all the PeopleSoft security setups and so forth and workflows are all embedded and it's all naturally integrated. The banks will send the statements and it's all automated and scheduled in the background. So by the time we get in the morning and the day in the life, you can go right into cash forecasting, which we'll show you in the demo environment. Integrated throughout, of course, is the treasury accounting piece down at the bottom. This is just indicating the natural integration into the general ledger, so that all accounting that gets produced by any of the activities that you see in front of you follow the rules as set up in the general ledger, and that's combo editing rule, everything from chart field values to the combinations that are valid. This ensures, in essence, that we don't. Now to get into
visibility, and our visibility to our liquidity is continuing to change. A lot has been really dynamically impacted due to COVID, but cash management and some of the things that we'll see today are definitely giving us the ability to enhance our clarity and enhance our visualization across the enterprise. Some of the cash positioning material really incorporates things like scenarios for our positions centered around budgeting and financial planning. It also allows us to forecast out in the future for our monthly or annual requirements. And on top of that, the cash management module for our forecasting and positioning, it allows us to combine a lot of information across our modules. So it's not just cash management centric. It's incorporating data from things like AP and AR to give us a great picture of our entire cash position and our entire liquidity picture. It's incorporating all of our data from the bank statements as well. So not only are we getting an idea of what's happening intraday within our system as a whole, but we're getting an idea of what actually occurred at the bank. So it gives us a great ability to compare apples to apples, our projected versus actuals, and really see how we're doing on that projection basis. And if we need to augment any sort of processes or develop new strategies, or do anything of the like to continue to stay on top of our toes for our cash visibility now and moving forward.
In reference to the cash positioning worksheets that we're going to show you during the demo, we're going to take a subset and it'll look at cash management, the bank statements, payables, receivables, and deal management. The idea being that we're not just relying on current day and previous day bank statements, but the transactions that are also occurring within cash management, payables, if there's anything scheduled but not yet vouchered, or vouchered but not yet scheduled for payment, as well as deal management if you have any debt or investments. The idea being that financials knows the cash flows, so we can report off of not just the bank statements in combination, but in bank statements in combination with the transactions that are occurring within financials, and even externally when required. When we take into the system, we're going to show you some of these cash position reports. These are all examples that are available in demo databases. So if you have a demo environment, we're purposely using demo so that after the presentation, you can go look within your own environments. But we'll show you different varieties, so like bank account view, where you'll be able to drill down. It takes you right to the source in case you need to know exactly what's going on, if you need to do additional research, and drill down into further sources, even to the transaction.
Yeah, and that really gives us a lot of additional capabilities. It really empowers us to do a lot of additional things within the system itself, like the comparison of our funds on a daily basis, or whether we need to move additional funds to maybe an underfunded account, maybe avoid potential overdrafts. or even augment our long-term cash forecast requirements based on what we're seeing in our financial modules. Maybe something has changed in our weekly view where we now need to go back and really update some of our other cash positions. So the idea here is not that things remain static, but we interact with them and we continue to update and improve ourselves as we move forward to really keep ourselves at the forefront of anything that might go on and really give us the empowered access to that data and the empowered access to confidently make recommendations or make changes to our funding requirements.
There are alternate views as well. I'm just highlighting some of my favorites, but the actual versus projected we'll show you during the demo. But this is where you can look at the forecasted data from within the system and compare it to the actual transactions as they occurred at the bank.
That cash position also gives us a lot of potential for some value creation too, like maximizing our earnings credits and minimizing any expenses that we might see for certain accounts that maybe have balanced minimums, and also allowing us to expose ourselves optimally to cash sweeps so that we aren't getting hit incorrectly or inefficiently by any of the banks. These cash positions also allow us to do things like view, enter, and catalog manual entries. So maybe we have a potential event next week that we want to forecast for, or maybe we have a manual entry that we need to enter because a massive funding requirement hasn't been entered yet for the day, but we're anticipating that wire coming through today. Then we ultimately have the availability and flexibility to import or manually enter individual transactions so that we are not just remaining static and looking at things that occurred, but anticipating what is going to occur.
In reference to the financial gateway, you already heard me describe it as the bank communication hub for PeopleSoft Financials, and that's because it does work for all of the various modules. This graphic is basically saying that with the financial gateway, we can connect to the banks in the most secure manner possible and in the formats that you want. Hence, on the right-hand side, where we're talking about HTTPS, SDP, and Swift connections, it's all at the most secure manner possible. The financial gateway doesn't only handle accounts payable, treasury, accounts receivable, but it does also work with third-party applications. Some of our top 50 clients do actually use the financial gateway as the central hub, hooking in all of their outside and various different systems that aren't necessarily coming through the PeopleSoft, and allowing the financial gateway to be that communications hub. So it gives them that one central area to go look and see how the transactions, whether they're confirmed, payments that have gone out, anything that you need to know about communications and secure to the financial institutions. Advantages to the financial gateway, of course, is the standard formats that are delivered, the enhanced security, the full audit trail. It is the central communication hub. So it has all the standard formats that are available today, such as the ISO 2022 and the EDI SEPA. It is the central communications hub for maintaining all of those payment files or messages. It has acknowledgments live, so nothing gets marked paid unless the bank sends back the acknowledgments that, hey, we received it, and yes, we've executed your payment. So there's full control. There's also an audit trail, and again, we keep talking about the natural integration with the financials hub. Cash management and reconciliation.
One of the other great things about cash management is with a lot of the bank statement data that we're consuming from our banking partners, it allows us to actually interact with and conduct our reconciliation processes. Some of the central ones that cash management ultimately houses and has to offer are centered around our bank account reconciliation, which really is focusing with all the payments that we dispatch from the financials modules, whether it is cash management or AP or a direct debit through AR. Ultimately, we have the capability to then consume those bank statements and conduct a one-to-one reconciliation between the bank statement and the system side transaction. With that, that also really opens us up to have book-to-bank reconciliation occur within the cash management module. So doing our GL to bank account reconciliation, our monthly process to make sure that we are ultimately reconciling efficiently all our payments that are going out of the financial gateway from any module are ultimately being reconciled down to the general ledger, and making sure that that is being conducted efficiently and effectively. With both those, we have some great tools that allow us to configure any rules that we might want for any sort of exceptions or items that are first presented on the bank statements. And these include our parsing and reconciliation rules, which allow us to really make the bank account reconciliation and book-to-bank reconciliation a business specific process for each client that we go into. It gives cash management a lot of flexibility to be able to handle any sort of material that is business process specific to your business. And these are some really great tools that are all within that cash management module.
When you're looking at cash management, shows how nervous I am. Cash management reconciliation, what we're trying to show here is that with cash management and the rules that it brings for the parsing and using bank statement processing to capture first presentment items, it really is looking at all these outside systems as well as internal, from payroll to AR, AP, general ledger, treasury, and then that connection, of course, with the banks where they're sending back the statements in any of the formats, or even the external systems that all come into cash management. It's really just all encompassing as far as the rules are concerned.
Yeah, and this next slide, it really simplifies kind of that holistic view, showing that we really are taking data not only from our external banking partners, but also our in-module payments and then our GL entries. So that versatility that cash management has to really interact with the data from all those modules and conduct our reconciliation processes within cash management itself. So this tool is super versatile and allows really a holistic data picture to be incorporated into those cash management reconciliation processes.
As far as the automated accounting and GL integration, you heard me mention before that we don't send junk to the GL. That is because with payments to the financial gateway with cash management, it is not possible to run the automated accounting process to create accounting entries, sub-ledger in the Treasury modules for passing over to the GL unless the payment is marked paid through acknowledgements by the bank. So in essence, we aren't going to send accounting entries for events that haven't been confirmed or haven't been paid. It does this by using the centrally configured general ledger rules that are set up within PeopleSoft Financials. It validates the entries as it's generated to make sure that the chart fields continue to be valid, that the combo edits are valid, and that any intra-unit pairs are valid. So all that accounting has to occur per the rules on the GL side of the fence. As far as bank side transactions, when we mentioned bank statement reconciliation for those presentment items that are not on the system side, given the cash management rules, we can set up bank statement processing rules that'll recognize the transaction as, say, a feed or a ZBA transfer, create the external side transaction, and apply the appropriate accounting entry. So it's really robust to handle those type of scenarios as well. Only Treasury accounting entries that are approved are actually picked up by the journal generator, and as most of you know, this is scheduled at a nightly process. Even if the payment on the Treasury subledger is marked as final, the journal generator still edits, it still creates edits and posts on the GL side of the fence, following those rules, of course, that are already there centrally. So GL controls the posting and Treasury just utilizes it. In essence, we're doing a favor for our GL friends and making sure that these transactions that we've executed actually do get posted correctly. So following the right-hand side, if we look at our little schematic there, entries get generated based on the entries and status. They have to pass GL rules, and only approved entries get passed to the GL. That's all the natural integration that's occurring between cash management and GL. I think we're ready to go into the demo now. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment and actually stop my video as well, so that I can take us into the demo environment. 1 second, please, while I try to get this all going. All right, so now I go back and share. And I'll minimize this. I'm assuming that you all can see my screen.
Yep, you're good to go, Al.
Thank you, sir. So I'm logging into our demo environment, and again, we purposely use this so that, you know, should you have this installed at home, you can log right in. Let me move this stuff out of the way. I'm going to start right off at our home page with cash management. And again, following the day in the life, if I scroll right in, I can see that I've got some data already available as far as what's occurring in the background. Bank statements have already been loaded. And that's that first day in the life piece of you know, the wheel of the day in the life. So I'm going to go right into our cash forecast results, because that's the first thing I'm going to check as a treasurer. And you can see that this is a bank account view where I'm looking at all of my bank accounts as configured within the system. Then I can switch that over to my business unit view where I'm looking at it from a weekly basis. Then, of course, my calendar view where I could see it per day if I choose to. And then my transaction currency view. This is the part where it's more art than science. Although this is completely configurable, it all depends on how you want to view the data within the system and how to present these cash positions. So these are just samples. If I'm looking at the transaction view and I wanted to say, for example, look at customer receipts from a USD perspective, I can click in and drill down, and I'll see that, okay, the original position, of course, is US to US. It's going to show me the transaction currency versus the supplier. So I'm fine there. But if, say, I wanted to go down and look at the yen, within yen, I could see that the US equivalent is 4,000 bucks, but the original transaction was in yen. All we're trying to highlight here is that if you're multi-currency or not, it's naturally integrated with the natural currency configuration within PeopleSoft Financials. If I go into actual versus projected, like I said, this is one of my favorites, and then I'm actually looking at the forecasted data. So this isn't just current day data. This is AR module receipts that I'm looking at, or cash management wires, my opening balances, my supplier payments. So if I'm looking at the AP module and something's been vouchered, but it's not scheduled to be paid yet, that on the day that that payment is scheduled, it'll show up under my forecast. I can compare that towards the actuals of what's going on as far as the bank, or whether those payments have been executed via the financial gateway. Drilling down, I can look at all my balances and so forth. And if, say, for example, I really wanted to drill to the source as far as where did that opening ledger come from, it'll take me right to the bank statement that was loaded earlier this morning. That said, let's go back to the home screen here for the next day in the life, and that, okay, I've got some bank overdrafts that are occurring. If I needed to go see what those are, then I can check that out, but I need to make some transfers. You notice at the top payment says still no data available. That's because we haven't executed any bank transfers. So clicking on this tile, I'm going to show you in the demo that I've got a template that uses funds to move from New York Treasury to California operations, is the example. So I'm going to bring up the template and say, okay, I need to move $150,000 worth of funds over to this account. If I tab out, it'll actually look at where I'm transferring the funds. What's the balance before my transfer? The balance after my transfer will be 850,000. It's also looking at the balance of that account that I'm going to. That's zero, but after my transfer, I'll have 150,000. So it is checking within a bank transfer when we're transferring funds between banks and accounts that we own what those balances are. So as I hit submit and click OK, it's going through all the rigmarole to make sure that, yeah, you can actually do this via security, and there's my transfer. Now let me go ahead and exit out of here because I'm not going to save another transfer for demo purposes. Let's get back home. Of course, I clicked on the wrong button. I should just clicked on the exit. But you'll now see that my top payments is at $150,000 from that transfer that it just committed to. And if I click into it, of course, it'll show me what that transfer is, and I can even go into the details. As far as the next part of the day in the life, if we go look at the financial gateway after settlement selection, and for this, I'm going to go hit my navigator and come up with my favorites and go to payment dispatch. That transfer has to go through settlement selection, approval, and dispatch, which I obviously did not demo, but it would end up here within the payment dispatch, and this is the financial gateway. It's the communications hub. Since it's used by all modules, you can drill down to the source system, including externals, which the demo data isn't set up to do, but you get the idea that anything that's delivered financially that uses the banks and produces payments ends up here in the financial gateway. In this particular case, I want to look only at USD payments. So the financial gateway shows you, hey, here's some payments that are awaiting dispatch, or some that are already paid. If I was to look at the payment details, say the life cycle of this payment, all of these steps are colored. So it tells me that they've all been completed, and I can look at additional data if I need to, including where this payment went through. And it has a full audit trail that tells me all of the events, who approved what, who dispatched, and or whether it was system automated. I can also transfer it to the source itself if I need to see, for whatever reason, hey, what was that payment? What was it made of? So by going into the payment source, it takes me straight to whatever generated that payment through all the different screens. Now, all of this is driven by security. So if I'm a treasurer and I want to see everything that's flowing out of my system as far as wires or payments are concerned, then I can choose to come to this, to the payment, to the financial gateway to review that. But if AP is also in here and I don't want them to see my AP, my treasury transactions and only see their AP type transactions, then that's easily configurable as well. And then of course, it's up to the user to use these saved searches to look for the data specifically and how they want to see it. This is the communications hub of PeopleSoft Financials. And again, it uses all the different modules. It has all the security behind PeopleSoft Financials, and it's connected to the bank's real-time loans. Now the banks are starting to offer APIs to be able to do real live. There's barely any, well, dependent on the financial institution, of course, but there's no lag on those acknowledgments. Otherwise, it's just whatever service the banks can offer as far as the communication piece of it. So we've gone ahead and looked at our cash forecast. We've gotten payment out to take care of some of the overdrafts. We've looked at the financial gateway, and all of this within another 15 minutes or so as part of this demo. Now, yes, it's like you can in most applications, you can drill down into the details and get as much information as you need from the dashboard homepage where I am, and this is also completely configurable. And then, of course, these different tiles will lead me to different directions of the software or of the modules. Let's take a minute and let's talk about the Treasury dashboard. This is the stop, end all, be all type work center that is delivered with all the various modules. Of course, I'm really going to look at the Treasury Work Center itself, but this again is user configurable to look at only the data that I truly want to see. If we're looking at the financial gateway, which we just came out of, you can note that we have all of our payments here in one location. So I don't necessarily need to go straight to the financial gateway to process payments. I can select and go ahead and hit the action to actually dispatch or hold my payments. There's a reporting element to this as well, in that it will show me, hey, based on the categories that I've configured, what are the unpaid elements and payments that are still awaiting. It also tags into the deals and shows us exceptions and accounting and so forth. If I'm looking at that last integration in that, okay, cash forecasting wise, I know what my position is. I've done my bank transfer. It's been dispatched to the financial gateway. I've gotten the acknowledgement coming back saying, hey, I got your payments, we've executed them. Here's your Fed Ref ID so that you'll have it. Only then, if it's marked paid, will these transactions end up for processing into accounting. It's that natural integration to the GL. So coming here, I can either finalize these accounting entries, and once I finalize them, they'll be marked final for the journal generator to pick them up. Otherwise, they'll just remain as provisional. Clicking into this cash flow will take me to the actual sub entry of Treasury within the sub module before it goes to the GL. You'll notice that the error status is set to none. In this particular case, GL approved accounting template was used and interest rate physical discount accruals. The amount in the currency was Canadian. There's the exchange rate and the base amount of 142 USD that will get recorded into the proper books on the GL side. The chart fields, additional details, and then of course, once the journal generator comes up and runs at night, the next morning I will see the journal ID on the GL side that is accessible to either a GL accountant or to a Treasury accountant with that access. And then of course, the status will change to dispatched, recorded in the GL. And of course, reaffirming that the combo status is valid. That's pretty much it as far as the day in the life demo. One last thing, I mean, I've got different links as far as, oh, there goes my Norton, continue to cite. I've got different setups for myself as far as the account reconciliation and showing you the status of whether it has any exceptions or not. There's also access to the banking piece of the fence. So if I want to go into bank statements, I could look them up on my own. Then it's got access to Query Manager. Although all of this is configurable by the user, they will only have access based on their security rules. Dean, I don't know if you want to add anything to this demo, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell as far as the day in the life of a Treasury person.
Yeah, I'd say so. That was great, Al. I don't have anything to add from my end.
Okay, in that case, we will move on to questions and answers. I'll bring up the presentation again and start sharing myself.
Thanks, Al. I can get started with some of the questions that were submitted.
Perfect.
So the first one's going to be, is the financial gateway a separate licensed product from cash management and deal management?
I'm sorry, I was so busy trying to bring up the presentation. Can you repeat that again, please?
Yeah. Is the financial gateway a separate licensed product from cash management and deal management?
It is not, my understanding, and we can check with our Oracle's reps as well as our own BDMs, business development managers, but I believe that the financial gateway can be licensed separately. I could be wrong on that though, so we'll have to check back.
Okay, thank you. The second one is, do you have to utilize all of the PeopleSoft modules, or can you bring in external system data to the CAS position?
You can bring in external data to the system, and it actually, besides being external, I mean, yes, you can bring anything into the system. The cash position worksheet has a way of either hooking up through APIs or to have manual journal entries. Dayton, I don't know if you want to add to that.
No, I think that was good, Al.
So the next question, thanks, Al. The next question is, are the bank statements automatically loaded and can they be scheduled?
Yes, they can be. As a matter of fact, almost everyone does the load automatically. So by the time they get in the morning and grab their coffee, the statements are already in the system, and the cash forecasting can also be scheduled. So literally how I demoed it, and then I would just come in, start off on my home page with my tiles and just click in the cash forecast. That's how it would end up working in reality.
Great. Are data visualizations available in cash management?
Yes, they are. With the new Elasticsearch tools and the related Kibana tools, you can basically build into all of PeopleSoft financials to do even more data analysis outside of just the cash forecasting. Dane, I don't know if you want to add to that, considering you're the data super expert on Kibana.
Yeah, there are a couple great things to note there. Elasticsearch now with Oracle PeopleSoft is a native search functionality. So it's not adding anything additional. It's just native integration right into your existing PeopleSoft instance. And it gives you the availability and flexibility to build any visualization for any process that you might have in mind. So super flexible, super versatile, super powerful.
Thank you. Looks like we have 3 questions left. Can you use different payment formats in the financial gateway?
Absolutely. Any payment format. As a matter of fact, some of the financial institutions will tell you that they have industry standard formatting, but then we'll end up with their own proprietary formats, especially when it comes to credit card payments and some of those rebate credit card programs that are popular now. So any format, if it's not delivered, then it's very easy to actually add it to the financial gateway.
Thank you, Al. Second to last one, are there audit controls and approval workflows?
Yes, there are, and most of all the audit controls is completely delivered. It records even the changes. For example, if I was in a bank transfer or I had to wire funds to an external party, there's a full audit control that tells you who entered that transfer, who approved it, what time did it get transferred over to the financial institution, when the acknowledgments came back. If anyone was to make a change, another user who say had access in that settlement approval piece and they made a change, it'll record not only that they made the change, but when. So yeah, audit controls are full. And then as far as workflows concerned, the new tools that are delivered with Financials 9.2 allows the user to actually configure that on their own or make adjustments. So the answer to both questions is yes.
Thanks, Al. So the last question is going to be, are there multi-currency transfers available?
Yeah, one of the reasons why I showed the multi-currency cash forecasting as well as the transfer is that yes, the system is completely enabled with multi-currency and using the latest spot rates as they're brought in from either an external system or live. So the answer to that is yes. And then of course, the entry that I showed you on the accounting side of the fence showed you the translation of what spot rate was used for that Canadian transaction. Versus what gets recorded for the actuals ledger on a USD-based system. So of course, it's a global system that is built for multi-currency.
Thank you both. That rounds out all the questions that were submitted. If anyone has any lingering questions as I'm wrapping up here, feel free to submit them in the chat and we will follow up afterwards. And just to wrap up, so tomorrow there will be another session kicking off the second day of the Alere Treasury Experience. That's going to be the evolution of payments, ISO and SWIFT. You're able to register on alere.com under the Alere Treasury Experience tab. So if you're available, join us tomorrow at 9 a.m. And that is going to be a CTP and CCM credit qualified session that's going to be happening. And just as always, keep engaging with us on social media. Especially during the conference, we love to see people post with the ETE2020 hashtag. And we hope to see many of you tomorrow on the last and final day of the Alere Treasury Conference. Thank you everyone so much for joining and taking time. Thanks again to Dayton and Al for putting this on. Bye everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.